this site signify in the war against Judeo-Christianity?
It signifies another vicious attack by Muslim terrorists who mercilessly murdered 3,000 innocent Americans, and whose intention, by the way, was actually to murder hundreds of thousands of people. They wanted to perpetrate a Holocaust. They thought the buildings, that the two Twin Towers were going to come crashing down on everybody in the Wall Street area, and that was going to lead to the murder of 250,000 people. Every Muslim is commanded to live for the sake of jihad, of holy war. And holy war means conquering the whole world. There are only two types of nations in the world. There's Dar al-Islam, which are nations that are under the abode of Islam, and Dar al-Harb, which are nations that are not Muslim, that are under the abode of the sword. Muslims are commanded to conquer the entire world for Allah and for jihad. And that means that what happened on 9/11 is true Islam. That is true traditional Islam, and that is what the world is confronted with.
And is that what they're planning again?
Absolutely. They've been planning that. They've never stopped planning these types of attacks. Absolutely. And the danger of far worse attacks taking place is a constant danger. I mean, there's a constant threat of this, especially if they acquire weapons of mass destruction, which they're on the verge of doing now in Iran.
What should Jews do with this coming presidential election?
Every Jew and every righteous Gentile is obligated to work to defeat Barack Hussein Obama for re-election. He is someone whose policies are advancing jihad and advancing world Islam. And I don't believe, by the way, that it's unintentional. I think that he hates the United States. I think he feels the United States is a racist nation that did terrible things to his people and terrible injustices, and he grew up with this hatred. Everyone he surrounded himself with were filled with hatred for America. Jeremiah Wright, Bill Ayers, all the people he surrounded himself with his whole life. That's why Barack Hussein Obama went to Louis Farrakhan's Million Man March in 1995. He went from Chicago all the way to Washington to attend a march by Farrakhan, who has said that Adolf Hitler was a great man. Can you imagine, by the way, if a white candidate had gone to Ku Klux Klan rallies? Would that have been an issue? Could he have run realistically for president if you had a white candidate who had gone to KKK rallies? He would never have been laughed out of the race for president, and justifiably. If someone would go to rallies like that, they shouldn't be considered seriously for the presidency. But Obama went to the rallies of the Klan with a tan.
What should we learn from this about Jewish support for this administration?
Jews, unfortunately, one of the great miracles of history are that Jews survived despite themselves. Jews, unfortunately, are a nutty people. I love the Jewish people, but they're nuts. 78% of them voted for Barack Hussein Obama, despite his. And the only sane thing to do, of course, is to work to defeat him. But these are a nutty people with nutty leaders and nutty organizations, and it is one of the greatest nisim, one of the greatest miracles for the Jewish people, is not only that they survived when the whole world wanted to destroy this little people for thousands of years. That's not the only miracle. They didn't even want to survive. They're so insane, they help all of their enemies. They do the opposite of what everybody else does. The Jews are like the person who catches the football and runs and runs and runs and scores a touchdown for the other team. That's what all the Jewish leaders are like. That's what all the Jewish politicians are like. They're a nutty people. I love the Jewish people, but they're insane.